Maker Faire Detroit. Make some noise for Maker Faire. We are so happy to be here in Dearborn for Maker Faire. It is the coolest event on the planet. It is so great. We almost didn't make it. Our flights got canceled and we had to drive several hours. It's a long, epic story, but we made it. We have here 108 bottles of Coke Zero, 648 Mentos mint candies. In a few minutes, we're going to make a really big mess. To let you know, if you are right close to the stage, there is a chance that you will get wet. If you are right here in line with these tables, right here in this little pocket, yep, you're in the danger zone. You will most definitely get wet. As we get here, the little bit of spray will be coming off here, a little bit of spray will be coming off here. As we get closer to this corner, you'll probably stay drier. And then as we get a little bit right up here into the middle, there's going to be a little bit more spray coming in right here, right here, right here. And it'll get a little bit drier, a little bit drier. And then as we get over right near these stairs, as we get right in line with these tables, right here, this would be the splash zone. So we have a few people who are making their way to the splash zone. That's awesome. Now, if the wind does kick up, who knows what might happen. You folks out there, you might get wet. It's just that simple. And the wind has been blowing in this direction, so you never know, you never know. So, to introduce ourselves, my name is Fritz, and this is Steven. Together, we are EepyBird. We are best known for our crazy viral videos of Coke and Mentos and sticky notes and other crazy stunts. And we have one really clear motto, and it's one thing that we would like you to take away from your time here at Maker Faire and your time here at the EepyBird show, and that is, try this at home. Absolutely. So let's show you a few different ways that you can do this yourself.
So the simplest way to do this is just take a regular piece of paper and a business card or a playing card, 5 or 6 Mentos mint candies. Don't use the sugarless kind, they don't work. Regular mint candies, Mentos mints, and a bottle of pop. And you roll the paper into a tube like Fritz is doing. You place the business card or the playing card, or you can use a piece of cardboard on the bottom to hold the Mentos in. You drop the 5 or 6 Mentos into the tube, and you're going to place that whole assembly over an open bottle of pop. Now you can't put them in one at a time, because once you start to put the first Mentos in, it starts to come out, and you can't get all 5 in and you get a weak reaction. This gets them all in at once. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pull. So there is no reason everyone here shouldn't do this next weekend. But when you do 100 bottles at once like we do, and maybe you'll want to do more than one at once, the paper tube and the paper card method's a little bit tricky. So here's the way we first learned, and it's really easy for you guys to do at home. We just take 5 or 6 Mentos mints, and we drill a little hole in the center, and string them like beads on a piece of fishing line or a piece of string. You can also use a piece of wire if that's what you've got handy. And then we take a bottle cap, right off the bottle of pop, and drill a hole in that as well. And we put the thread right up through the hole in the bottle cap. And then we use a binder clip from the stationery store, or you can use a clothespin. And we clip the string, and that holds the whole bead string right under the cap. And then you can put that cap right back on the bottle, and the whole assembly goes inside and hangs right above the level of the soda. So as soon as we take that clip off, the Mentos fall into the soda, the reaction happens, and it all shoots out whatever size hole you drilled in the bottle cap. So you can vary the effect by depending on the size of the hole. And we'll show you how this works. 3, 2, 1, pull. Oh, Fritz got wet. And you can see the most important thing about the entire experiment is when it's done. Arms up. And you can see that one went a little higher too because the hole we drilled is a little smaller than the bottle cap, and with that smaller opening, the geyser goes a little higher. Now, when we do our shows, it's a little tiring drilling 600 Mentos per show. So what we have is these nozzles we have on top of the bottles, and it's simply a PVC tube attached to a bottle cap, and inside that tube we have already loaded the 6 Mentos. I don't know if some of you came by earlier, we were loading the Mentos into the nozzles. And at the bottom of the nozzle we have a pin going across that holds the Mentos into the tube. So when we pull the pin out, the Mentos drop into the soda, the reaction happens, and then it goes out whatever hole we've drilled in the top of that tube. So let's give this one a try. And this way it's easy for us to set up 100 bottles at once all ahead of time without having to drill any Mentos. Oh, I think we have a volunteer or two. There we go. Three, 2, 1, pull. Nicely done. Oh, thank you. We need those. Oh, that's right. Arms up. You remember. So one of the things about Coke and Mentos geysers is to get this. Oh, right. We should show you a couple. We have a couple different nozzles to show you. So with these tubes on top, we can drill different patterns in tops of in the bottle caps, and we can get different fountains out of the same bottle. So here's one that's got an orange cap on it, and when you pull that, let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1. So that one's got 3 holes in it, so we got a nice three spray fountain. And if you look on the stage, you can see different colored nozzles. Arms up. And then we have one more to show you, just because it's a little bit different. This we just took a hacksaw and drilled a slot right across the top. And that gives a slightly different effect, which looks like 3, 2, spray behind you. There's a whole crowd that wants some spray. 3, 2, 1, pull. Nicely done. So when we set all these off, look at the different colored nozzles and you can see what the different effects are. So one of the things we want to explain to you guys before we do the whole 100 bottles is how this works, because it's not at all what you'd expect. You'd think it would be some kind of chemical reaction, but it's not. It's a process called nucleation, and Fritz is going to tell you about that.
So, nucleation is a physical reaction. It's not primarily the ingredients of the Mentos and the ingredients of the Coke that makes for this explosive combination. It's this physical reaction called nucleation. And what's going on is you got all of this soda, you got all of this pop. I've learned that it's pop here. You got all this pop, you got all of this fizz, all this carbon dioxide inside the pop, and it is looking for somewhere to go. It's under pressure, it wants to get out. So it will grab onto anything bumpy that it comes into contact with. So you can see nucleation in action. If you put your finger into a cup of pop, you'll see the bubbles form on the ridges of your fingers. Well, the same thing is happening with Coke and Mentos. Mentos, it turns out, are sprayed with over 40 layers of liquid sugar. This means they're not only tasty, if you look at them under a microscope, they're covered with hundreds of thousands of little tiny bumps. And every one of those bumps is a place for the carbon dioxide to grab onto. So when we drop the Mentos into the bottle of Coke, as they drop down to the bottom of the bottle, all the way down, there are bubbles, thousands upon thousands of bubbles grabbing on to the surface. You get bubbles forming upon bubbles, you get this cascading reaction releasing all of this pressure. Well, where's it going to go? It comes flying out the mouth of the bottle. Now, because it's a physical reaction, you can drop just about anything into a bottle of pop and get some kind of reaction. Let's take a look.
So when we first heard that, we decided we had to check it out for ourselves. So I took a stack of pennies and went outside and dropped a stack of pennies into a bottle of pop just to see if we get any reaction at all. because that was the most different thing I could think of that would fit in a bottle. So here's what happens. We've got pennies inside that nozzle. See if we get any reaction at all. 3, 2, 1. So you can see it's not as dramatic, but something's happening, which suggests that it's not the chemicals in the candy, it's something physical about the shape of the surface of the pennies or of the Mentos or of whatever else you drop in. So then we tried a different candy. We've got peanut M&Ms in this one. See if we get a reaction. 3, 2, 1. A little bit. One of the things to note is that it doesn't go as high, but it goes for a longer time usually, because there's the same amount of CO2 in there, the same amount of carbon dioxide, but it's not reacting as quickly. So it goes for a longer time, but not as powerfully. And just for comparison, same nozzle, same setup, 6 Mentos, 3, 2, 1. Aim to the side there, you got somebody wants to get wet. There we go. So completely, not what you think. It's just the shape of the Mentos, microscopically, that makes that work.
Okay. Now the biggest question we get asked is, does it have to be diet soda? And the answer is no. Just about any fizzy beverage will work, including those made for adults. And so long as it's fizzy, you'll get some kind of reaction. In fact, the biggest geysers we have ever made were with a German champagne. There is so much fizz in those. We got geysers about 50% higher than anything we've done with pop. Unfortunately, champagne is a little more expensive, particularly for doing 108 bottles all at the same time. But we are accepting donations. If you want to see it, we want to make it happen. Okay. And maybe a few extra bottles to drink later. Maybe, yeah. So, but there are two very good reasons that we use Coke Zero and Diet Coke. First, there's a little more fizz in the diet sodas. They pack it full of carbonation so that we get a little more power and a little bit bigger geysers. But in particular, there's no sugar. No sugar means it's not sticky. And we really appreciate it not being sticky, because we are about to get soaked to the skin for your amusement. So having it not so sticky, that's a very, very nice thing. Now, there's one super important tip we have for you guys trying this at home, and that's that you want to be aware of the temperature of your soda, of your pop. I'm working on it. You want to be aware of the temperature of your pop.
Like almost every other physical reaction, Coke and Mentos works best when it's warm. When we were first trying this out, we did some great experiments to start with, and then our regular geysers, we were doing all kinds of these fancy angles and spinning things, but our regular geysers were terrible. We were seeing videos of kids in their driveways in Florida doing geysers 2 and 3 times as high as ours. And we kept looking at the videos and then looking at our pitiful geysers and going, what's the deal? There's some kid, now some 9-year-old in Florida is kicking our butt. And then we realized he was in Florida. And we were in Maine. And it was March. And it was cold. And so once we went back to using warm soda, everything worked great. So we've got 2 bottles here. One is a bottle that's been sitting here out in the sun for a couple hours. And one bottle has been sitting in an ice chest full of ice water for a couple hours. And you guys see if you can tell which is which. Other than that, they're identical. 3, 2, 1, pull. The only difference there is the temperature of the soda. So when you do your own ones at home, use warm soda. Now it only needs to be room temperature or warmer. Do not put it in the microwave. And do not put it in the oven. And we made the mistake once of putting it near a radiator on a fall day. And what happened then was the plastic and the edge of the bottle at the top got warm and started to melt. And we got gigantic bubbles of pop bottles that almost exploded before we caught them. So the simple way to do it is just use room temperature pop or put it in a sink of warm water, just warm water from the hot water heater, and that will warm it up just perfectly.
So before we get started with all of this craziness, we want to let you know that we have videos up on our website, EepyBird.com, EepyBird, EepyBird.com. You can see videos of our Coke and Mentos experiments, our 250,000 sticky note waterfalls. You can see all of the power that's up here on stage harnessed to create the Coke and Mentos rocket car, sending me down the road almost 300 feet. And we also want to let you know we will have a book coming out this November, the Viral Video Manifesto, how you can create your own viral video madness. The Viral Video Manifesto coming out in November. So check our website and our Facebook page for all those details. And after the show, well, we will have 108 bottles of almost empty bottles of pop that are, well, they're flat and warm and minty flavored. So if you would like a souvenir of your time here at Maker Faire and the time here at the EepyBird show, give us 5 minutes after the show. Be by the sides of the stage. Please no screaming, yelling, and oh my God, I want a bottle. Give us 5 minutes and we will bring the bottles to the sides of the stage. There are slightly more than 108 of you here today, so we can't give one to everybody. But give us a few minutes, we'll have them by the sides of the stage. I think that's it. Are you guys ready? Let's make a mess.
Can everyone sit down in front so all of us can see? Thank you. Sit. Yeah, you
Spencer? Spencer?
Spencer.